Let's talk about a very specific book. Picture this. It's about the size of a standard paperback novel, made entirely of animal skin vellum that dates all the way back to the early 1400s. It's filled with this flowing, confident script, reading left to right. Whoever wrote it clearly knew the alphabet perfectly. There's no hesitation, no stopping and starting. But here is the massive catch. That alphabet, it exists nowhere else in the historical record. It has completely defeated the world's greatest cryptographers, classified analysts at the NSA, and even modern artificial intelligence. Nobody has deciphered a single page. Welcome to the Voynich Manuscript. We're jumping right into the visual strangeness of this text, because honestly, the words are only half the puzzle. Just look at the illustrations. We've got around 130 full-page drawings of plants, but they don't match any known botanical species on Earth. We aren't looking at extinct plants or just, poorly drawn versions of common ones. They literally do not exist in nature. You'll see roots shaped like bulbous human figures and flowers made of these weird star-shaped clusters that defy all botanical classification. Botanists who've studied this all agree. These simply aren't real plants. And then we get to the bizarre biological section. You see these calm, completely featureless female figures floating around in pools of green and colored liquid, and they're all connected by these super elaborate networks of pipes and channels. Some of the figures are just floating freely, while others actually look like they're entering the plumble itself. It looks exactly like a technical diagram of some highly complex hydraulic or physiological system. The illustrator knew exactly what they were drawing, right? But to us, the purpose of this whole system is a total mystery. When we step back and look at the big picture, the manuscript breaks down into 4 distinctly unreadable visual sections. You've got the herbal section we just looked at, the biological section with those weird pipe networks, an astronomical section absolutely packed with circular diagrams and unrecognizable zodiac signs, and finally, a cosmological section featuring these huge, fold-out pages of rosettes that might actually be maps. It builds this massive scale of a fabricated or maybe forgotten world that's completely internally consistent, yet totally closed off to us. Okay, let's introduce the analytical framework we're going to use to dissect this unsolvable mystery today in this explainer, the CUTE framework. That stands for curiosity, urgency, tension, and emotion. Section 1. Curiosity. The record of defeat. So the main curiosity here isn't just the fact that the text is unread, it's the sheer heavyweight caliber of people who have been defeated by it. And the number 25 is really key here. You see, the script contains roughly 25 to 30 distinct characters written super confidently from left to right. But despite having this finite language-like structure, it matches 0 known alphabets and stubbornly resists every single attempt at direct translation. Just to give you a sense of who we're talking about, let's look at William Friedman. He's widely considered the absolute greatest American cryptologist of the 20th century. This is the guy who famously broke Japan's purple cipher during World War II. He assembled a whole team, applied the full arsenal of standard cryptanalytic techniques to the Voynich text for years, and produced nothing. Well, nothing except a private tentative conclusion that it might be a constructed language. He literally went to his grave completely defeated by this book. Now let's jump to recent years. You'd think modern AI would crack it in a heartbeat, right? Well, since the manuscript was digitized, we've seen wave after wave of algorithmic analyses. In 2013, an information theoretic analysis pointed to semantically organized text. Then, in 2019, a massively publicized paper claimed it was a Proto-Roman shorthand. And in 2022, a neural network suggested a Hebrew alphabetic substitution cipher. But guess what? Every single one of these theories collapsed the second they faced real peer scrutiny. To this day, the manuscript remains undefeated by modern computation. No way around it. Section 2. Urgency. The provenance gap. The physical timeline of this object creates a really urgent historical puzzle, mainly because we are entirely missing its origin story. Radiocarbon dating pinpoints the creation of the vellum exactly between 1404 and 1438, but our very first historical record of anyone actually owning it doesn't pop up until around 1600, when Emperor Rudolf II reportedly bought it in Prague for a massive 600 gold ducats. Wilfred Voynich didn't even discover it until 1912, and it finally landed at Yale University in 1969. That leaves a huge, gaping blank space of nearly 2 centuries right at the beginning of its life. It's a book made by no known hand, arriving seemingly out of nowhere. Section 3. Tension. The code versus the con. The central tension driving this whole mystery is whether we're looking at genuine, hidden knowledge or just a massive Renaissance fraud. And here's why the genuine cipher theory actually holds a lot of weight. The text perfectly follows Zipf's law. It shows positional regularities and a level of predictability in its word structures, which linguists call entropy, that strongly implies genuine, meaningful content. Basically, random gibberish simply does not behave this naturally. But I want to pause here and ask you directly, how would you handle the possibility that this entire 240-page book is just a highly sophisticated hoax? What if there is literally no secret to decode at all? For anyone who has poured years of their life into this puzzle, that is by far the most uncomfortable possibility.
When we put the genuine cipher theory up against the hoax hypothesis, we actually find really strong arguments on both sides. The cipher theory has those solid linguistic statistics backing it up. The hoax hypothesis, on the other hand, argues that someone could have used a mechanical tool, like a 16th century cardin grill, which is essentially a sheet of paper with strategic cutouts used to trace letters. They could have used that to generate text mimicking linguistic patterns without holding any actual meaning, all designed to secure a massive financial payout from a wealthy buyer like Emperor Rudolf II.
But the crucial point we have to keep in mind is that the hoax theory has a massive flaw. Faking this volume of text, all 240 pages of it, would require an almost superhuman level of creative deception. I mean, the manuscript shows natural human corrections, words overwritten, text naturally inserted between lines. A mechanical hoax generator wouldn't produce those kinds of organic human struggles. Plus, maintaining a perfectly consistent imaginary botany and complex astronomical systems just to fake a book? That's a staggering amount of work for a scam. Section 4. Emotion. The lost key. Pivoting away from the sheer frustration of failure, we arrive at the pure emotion of an unsolved mystery. You see, this isn't a text that was deliberately suppressed by authorities or locked away to hide some dangerous truth. This book is unreadable simply because the community of readers who shared its interpretive framework has completely disappeared. If it is a real language or code, the shared knowledge that makes the script legible has been lost to time. Or actually, maybe it was never shared outside a tiny, now-vanished circle to begin with. And this brilliantly illustrates the manuscript's ultimate lesson. As one prevailing thought in the research puts it, the objects of the past do not need our understanding to continue existing. They only need our attention. I love that. This is the pure wonder of an object made with intense care that perfectly resists our attempts to know it. It survives, fully intact and completely indifferent to our inability to read it. Which leaves us with one final thought to ponder. Is the manuscript just waiting for a key that's slightly beyond our next algorithm? Or is the mystery itself the final message? Perhaps the act of not knowing, held with curiosity instead of frustration, is exactly what makes this text so vital. It forces us to confront the very limits of human understanding. And honestly, that might be the most valuable thing it could possibly teach us.